On this slide, I've got a few examples of negative externalities of production. That is, negative externalities that arise from the production process. So we had pollution from the coal-fired power plant. That was one of our classic examples of an externality. But here's a few more. Windmills. So windmills that we see out in the country that are used for power production. Big, white, very tall windmills are something that me personally I don't actually mind, but then I don't have to see them from my house. There's lots of people who dislike it when windmills are built close to their house. And so for those people, the windmills have an additional cost of production that's not being taken into account by whoever is building and operating those windmills. That's a negative externality of the production of power from the windmills. If you live around Ashland, then there's a real good chance that you are occasionally smelling cow poop or hog poop from the various cow and hog farms that are around us. Those smells are not something that's being intentionally generated, but they are something that's being largely ignored by the cattle producers. Why? Because, well, it just doesn't come into their decision process, right? They're deciding how many cows to farm based on what's going to make them the most profit, but they're not taking into account that the smell is going to cause harm to the people who live nearby. That's a negative externality of the production of cattle. If you live near the Cavs arena or near some other sporting field or arena or stadium or whatever, chances are on game days your life is a little unpleasant because there's lots of traffic congestion, lots of noise. The congestion and the noise are not things that are intentional production from those games, but they are a byproduct, right? And they still have a real cost to the people who live around there. Those costs are unlikely to be taken into account by the person who's deciding, the organization that's deciding, say, how big of a stadium, how big of an arena to build. They're making their choices based on what's going to make them the most profit, and they're not going to take into account those external costs that hurt other people.